Hi you guys, welcome to this month's fun little live Q&A call. So we're doing Facebook Live and Instagram Live and hopefully recording all of it for YouTube later. I'm so tech savvy, I know. So I have a really juicy fun one today. So if you guys are just joining and you're here, let me know. I love seeing like little hearts come on the screen. That's really why I do this, just to see the hearts. So if you're here, let me know, come say hi. I like knowing where you're calling in from, where you're listening in from, if you're in your car, if you're at work. I don't know. I just like knowing. I like knowing that I'm not talking to myself, really. So this month's topic is super juicy and something that I feel like I just keep seeing popping up over and over and over again on Instagram and on Pinterest. I just see all of these products and things, and there's more like supplies and products and companies like now more than ever creating tons of amazing healthy stuff. And there's also just as many companies that are creating stuff that is marketed to you as being healthy, but really when you actually take a closer look at it, it's actually not that healthy at all. So today I wanted to share with you 5 of the most common things I see of like 5 healthy foods that are actually not that healthy for you at all. And they're 5 things that you see in, I'm not talking about like Doritos not being healthy for you. I'm talking about these are things that like are actually in Whole Foods, and they're in things and supplies and products that you may be thinking that you're doing yourself a favor with, but that I actually want to challenge you to think and look more in the lens and way of real food. And when you do that, it's more about how processed or not the food is instead of how sexy or amazing it says it is for you on the label. And truly, like with kind of a more guiding principle in my philosophy on most things is that if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. So what I mean by that, and you'll see as I come up with these 5 examples, that if there's anything that promises you where you get like all of these great, amazing benefits and literally no downside, and something that seems weird that would be the case, that's usually a good indicator that it's maybe not a real food at all, and more so closer to a food that it's just marketed to you as being healthy, which is the case for probably about like 80% of food, even in healthy grocery stores. It's all about the marketing and less about the true health. And so learning to become your own advocate and learning to really distinguish between like, is this healthy food or is this like something that's maybe more processed, or it's more about the food company's gain here or more about the marketing. So I just really like helping people like distinguish what those lines are, because it can be really confusing to live in modern day and to have like a good grounding sense and a way of looking at food that doesn't change. And that's really what, you know, having a real food lifestyle is all about. It's about keeping it simple, keeping it clean, natural, normal, and easy, most of all. Because when you stick with those things, all the other clutter and all the other stuff just becomes so much less confusing. So that's what I really want to kind of help and point and guide you guys today. Okay, if you're here, more hearts, please. You know I love the hearts. Come on. I'm wearing pink. I got pink lipstick. I just love the hearts. This is what I am. Thank you. Okay, good. Oh, this is so fun. I love seeing all you. Oh, hi. Yes, this is so fun. Okay, so first up on the list of top 5 things that are not actually healthy for you but are marketed to you like they are, number 1 is agave. So agave is something like that came out probably 5 years ago saying that it's so much better for you, and it was really promoted as like a health food, that it was much better than sugar, much better than any other alternative. You'll see it a lot in like a lot of different coffee bars and drinks and even smoothies and different packaged bars and some, sweets and treats as like a replacement for honey or maple syrup or stevia or some of the fake sweeteners. However, they have just discovered, this is a prime example of things that sound too good to be true that usually are. They have just discovered that the fructose molecules in agave are higher than high fructose corn syrup, meaning that eating agave or drinking agave is the same thing as like eating high fructose corn syrup in terms of your blood sugar. So it spikes your blood sugar up and then drops you right back down, which means you're going to crave more sugar all throughout the day. And it also means you're going to be hungrier within like an hour or two later. So it really like kind of triggers your appetite and also starts to coat your taste buds to know and expect and be trained and be addicted to sugar and sweet things all throughout the rest of the day. So something to think about. A much better replacement and the more real food replacement would be doing organic maple syrup that's unrefined or organic raw honey. And raw honey is actually really great for seasonal allergies too. And both of those are naturally occurring. They've been around for thousands of years and they have actually some pretty good enzymes in it and nutrients that you can't get anywhere else. And most importantly, they release into your blood sugar much more slowly and evenly, even though they will spike it up because all sugar does that in any form. It will spike it up, but it's not as drastic spike and drop as agave would be. Okay, number 2 on the list is along the same lines, same sort of category of sweeteners, and that is stevia. So I know a lot of you are gonna like be mad about this. That's okay. Stevia in itself has been touted as this amazing new healthy thing because it comes from an herb. Like it's literally a plant that you could grow in your kitchen or in your backyard. And that's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this, because most of us, when we use stevia or eat products with stevia in it, it's not the fresh herb, but we're using like the much more processed version, which most people don't realize there's a huge difference. So stevia, the leaf in itself, is more than 200 times sweeter than sugar, which means thinking about your brain, thinking about your taste buds, and training your body and your brain and your taste buds to continually be expecting sweet things, wanting sweet things, and craving sweet things. Stevia may not be the best because of that. Second, stevia is now connected, and I'm talking about the packaged, the processed, the bleached stuff, super processed, that's in a lot of protein powders that are labeled as healthy. It's in a lot of even like kombucha. It's in a lot of like protein bars, a lot of snacks that are on the go. It's the way that the food companies have to be like, it's all natural, yet it's super sweet and AKA tastes good so that the American palate will like it. So it's oftentimes one of the tiniest ingredients and sometimes not even listed in the rest of the ingredient list. Like it is like below and in the tiniest print may also contain something with stevia. So if something tastes sweet and it says that there's no sugar in it and it's from a natural food store maybe, it is worth taking a second look at this. So now they've connected stevia to migraines in particular, digestive problems, and also problems with autoimmunity. So inflammation. Inflammation is the starting point of all disease in the body. And so this is something to really pay attention to if your system is a little bit more on the sensitive side, digestive-wise, immune-wise, and especially thinking about migraines. If you get migraines, headaches, you have sort of unexplained like physical symptoms, even though you feel like you're pretty healthy most of the time, this could be a really big trigger. I know that it was for me personally. I used to drink a greens powder that had some stevia in it, and I did not think twice about it. I used to get bad migraines, so it was a combination for me of taking out gluten and taking out stevia. So I say this because a lot of people struggle with this. It's not something super well known, but it is definitely worth getting rid of the stuff and not falling for the things that have stevia in it if you struggle with some of these other things and if you don't feel 100% great every single day. Okay, I know it's like a little scary and annoying. Also, stevia has that thing that it really coats your taste buds, so you begin to crave sweeter things, even if it's not in the moment. It's all throughout the day, throughout the course of the season, throughout a couple months. You are continually training your taste buds, your body, your brain, and your digestive system to continually want things that are sweet. When it's stevia in the moment, but it may be like real sugar, high fructose corn syrup, other things later that you really don't want in your life. Okay, next, number 3 on the list, another surprising one, brown rice. So most of us have been trained for years, especially with the big movement towards plant-based eating and vegetarianism and being a vegan. And just so you guys know, I have done all 3 things. I was raised mostly vegetarian for most of my life. So I am not knocking it. I'm just saying this is where a lot of this stuff comes from. It was like the beginning of the healthy movement, if you will. So brown rice is actually not so great for you because it has higher levels of arsenic in it. So this really matters if you're consuming this a lot. Once in a while, it's totally fine. But if this is a staple in your house and or you are a vegan or vegetarian that consumes a lot of either rice milk or like brown rice protein, that's in a lot of like vegan protein powders, good idea to kind of like double check and see if it's a brown rice protein or if it's a white rice protein. White rice tends to have a little bit less arsenic in it, actually no arsenic in it, even though it seems counterintuitive to maybe go for white rice over brown. But there you go, another fun fact. So, and of course, a much better swap for both of these things would be properly prepared, so soaked or sprouted quinoa. Quinoa is actually a grain, or actually a seed, excuse me, not a grain, and most people do much better digesting it, and it also has some really good levels of naturally occurring protein in there too. So, helpful, right? Okay, number 4 on the list of 5 things, cruising right along, is rolled oats, otherwise known as just normal oatmeal. So the reason why rolled oats are maybe not the best to be consuming a lot of is that all oats start from an original like form of oatmeal. It's called a steel cut oat. I'm pretending. See my steel cut oat? It's like those tiny little, like hard little pebbles that you see in the grocery store that probably most of you don't buy because it takes like 30 minutes to cook. They're also called Irish oats. So if you see that in the store, this is what I'm talking about. So in the steel cut oat is where all of the nutrition is. So there is the germ, the bran, and the endosperm of the grain. All the nutrition is really in the bran of the grain. That's why you hear a lot about bran cereal. But rolled oats, however, is when the original form of the steel cut oat, because as Americans, none of us have time to cook breakfast for 30 minutes, they process the steel cut oat, basically removing the bran of the little grain and tossing it away because that's what takes the longest to cook. However, that's also the thing that has all the nutrients in it. So then they heat it to a really high temperature and they kind of chemically flatten and process it out. So rolled oats basically have no nutrition left in them. And although they take a little bit less time to cook, probably not the best thing for your system, especially nutrient density wise, because when you eat something without the nutrition and without the substance in it, again, it's going to turn more quickly to sugar. It's going to spike your blood sugar up and drop you right back down. Instant oats are even further away from that, which is, you know, the packets that you kind of dump and they have sweeteners and stuff in them, powdered sugars and all that kind of stuff. That's what I grew up on, just so you know. It turned out fine. But I'm talking about, like, if you're an adult and if these are a part of your life, if you think adding oats to cookies therefore makes them healthy, or if you do oatmeal every morning for breakfast, just this is something to think about. So with the rolled oats, they are essentially processed forms of oatmeal with nothing really left in them for you. So just something to think about. If you are going to do oatmeal, I would suggest doing steel cut oats that, yes, you soak and cook, but you can do it in a bigger batch and kind of freeze them in individual containers if you want a grab and go option in the morning. Or, Sarah life hack, just use quinoa instead, even in the morning. Put a little coconut oil in there, or butter, or berries, or apples, or cinnamon, whatever you would normally put in your oatmeal. You can put in quinoa, and it tastes the same, and you get some extra protein too. It's a little bit easier to digest, and cooks in less than half the time. So there's a recipe for apple cinnamon morning quinoa in the cookbook if you guys have that, so you can check that out. Test it at home, see if you like it just as much. Okay, number 5 on the list of 5 things that are marketed to you as healthy foods but are actually not that healthy for you is low-fat yogurt. And this goes actually for everything dairy that's low-fat. You always want to do the original source of the food, which would mean whole fat milk, whole fat cheese, and especially whole fat yogurt. We got trained, again, a lot through the diet industry and through the marketing industry that fat was bad. This is back in the 90s. And for some reason, the dairy industry has not caught up from the 90s, which is a scary thing in itself. So we kind of have to be our own advocates in this way, because when something goes from whole milk to get it to be low-fat milk, that is a huge level of processing that we take that food through, like as humans. We're altering the chemical and substance of the food, which makes it so much harder for our bodies to actually figure out what it is and to digest it. And over all the calories, all the fad diets, this is the most important thing to think about, especially when you're thinking about your food in a healthy lifestyle way that's not going to change over time, and not about measuring or eating out of colored containers, and not about like counting different things and being a slave to these different diets. It's about eating real food that's very just normal, simple, and natural, that your body can naturally digest, and it doesn't take a lot of effort or energy in order to do so. That's what healthy is, so that you can use your energy and go out and be the best version of yourself in the world. That's what I really care about, as you guys can tell. I get a little like passionate about this because I just see the way that we're educated about food can be so backwards sometimes. So it's a good question to just ask yourself, like, is this normal? Does that make sense? Is this how they ate the food like 1,000 years ago? And if it is something wildly different, or there has been a process like with a machine in a chemical factory, or something that we have done as humans to change the food, it's usually not a great sign. So when we take out the sugar, or when we take out the fat that's found in most milk products to make it non-fat or low fat, you are left with like a much higher chemical ratio of sugar. Again, going back to the sugar thing, we wonder why we have so many cravings, why we're always so hungry, why we can't get like this food thing in control. It's because when you're eating like non-fat, low-fat stuff, your blood sugar is spiking up and dropping back down. And like 2 hours later, you're hungry, which is not normal. So that's maybe a clue or an indicator that you may be eating some more processed stuff than you think you are, and maybe some more unhealthy stuff than you think you are, that's turning so quickly to sugar or confusing your body on a very basic level, making it really hard to digest, and therefore really hard to give yourself that stability and that energy and kind of like that extra like glow and that extra oomph that you get from eating a truly healthy and real food lifestyle. And that's what I want to encourage you today to think about, is that your definition of healthy becomes, is this real food, instead of it being, is this a current fad? Is this a trend? Is this something that is new and brand new and promises all these things? Because then in like a couple years, you're going to find out, oh, there's a new study that says maybe it's not so great. So it's why, you know, like from an easy perspective and from a keeping it simple perspective, it's so much easier to put your effort and time and attention into just simple, pure, beautiful, real food, because that's never going to change. And I think effort-wise, intention-wise, time-wise, like why would you do anything else but that? So really kind of getting to focus like more on this concept of what real food is, what it's not. I hope you appreciated this. I know I'm going to get tons of questions, maybe even some pushback from some of the things I said, but I just wanted to challenge you to really think about becoming your own advocates, and really learning about what real food is and what it's not, and not falling for all the marketing. Food companies can say whatever they want on the front of the label, whatever they want. But by law, they have to say what is in the ingredients. And that's what I really want you to take a second look at. Don't take it for granted just because you got it from a healthy place, or your neighbor like drinks it or recommends it. Really look for yourself and check out what's actually in the food, instead of, you know, just taking it for granted that other people are looking out for you. I know I am, but not everybody is. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to like find out more about this real food movement and transitioning to more of a real food lifestyle, be sure you check out the blog at simplyrealhealth.com. I update things weekly, you get recipes. The Simply Real Health cookbook is also for sale on Amazon, and be sure to check out the seasonal meal plan, which walks you through exactly the steps to prep and cook and make healthy meals all in about 3 hours or less every week for all of your meals. It can be done, I promise. I love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in today, and let me know if you have any other questions, and I'll put some links below of the products and things that I think are much better options for the things that we talked about today. Okay, talk to you soon.